All right, let's do it. Like, I'm not looking forward to this.
Things were changing.
Oh, you know what? We're probably going to need the other screen here. Hold on a moment. Okay, everybody, welcome to DJ360. Please push that like button if you're watching on YouTube and consider being here live on Thursday nights with us. We have a really good time. Now, this comes from Captain Explodo, and Captain Explodo says, a lot of reacts to Avenger One, what we are losing, and I see several here. This is in regards to Master Modes, which is a really big, dramatic shitfest, if you ask me right now. I'll speak my mind on Master Modes as we go with this 1 hour video here. I'm going to try and get through it. I see it very simplistically. Some people might be mad with my view on it, but I digress. Let's get back to Explodo's comments here. I'm going to say this is by far the best. Here we have another hardcore PvP opinion that has put a lot of hours in this, yet we hear some very smart counterpoints. And here's the deal. If the same 30 or 40 people are on every night testing this, and we have thousands of opinions and comments and tons of reactions, that means we have a lot of people confidently expressing opinions about something they do not know shit about. Period. Explodo's always dead on, dude. Explodo's always dead on, man. Here we get to hear two opinions at once that are highly experienced in PvP and the counterpoints. Many of them make sense. But at least here there is more than one opinion or a bunch of ignorant opinions. Now, I'm going to let you guys decide tonight because I do not have all the time in the world. Explodo is linking a dude named Vergil. Or I'm sorry, what's this dude's name? Hold on a second. Shadow Moses. I believe this is this dude's name. I don't think I've ever heard of this guy. Now, if you want me to react to Shadow Moses's view on Master Modes, put a 1. If you want me to react to Salty Mike's opinions on this, press 2 right now. So the live audience is now going to decide for us whether we are going to watch Shadow Moses or Salty Mike. Okay, so so we're talking Shadow Moses. Okay, so we got a lot of Shadow Moses. One finger says Shadow Moses. Red says Shadow Moses. Lost Soul says Shadow Moses. Okay, let's go to Shadow Moses then. So let's go here. Let's go down into our Discord and let's see that because that's. First off, I thought you guys were going to say Salty Mike because Salty Mike's so popular now. And I thought it was going to be Salty Mike. So I'm actually surprised, and that's great. I love that. So let's switch gears here, and let's go check this dude's video out, shall we? I've had enough salt, says Red. First off, what is this man's name? Let's just make sure we get this right. Okay, it's Vergil Shadow Moses.
Hey
Hello?
guys, so here we are with an almost movie length react video. I didn't think I'd get anywhere near this time, but it was a controversial video and Master Modes is something we're passionate about. I disagree with a good, healthy amount of his opinions on Master Modes. And that's what that video is there for, right? It's for you to agree or disagree with.
Now, I have not seen Avenger One's Master Modes video yet, so I'm not quite sure if he's going to watch it or he's just going to talk about his opinions on it. Let's keep going.
This is just healthy debate, healthy discussion about a game we all care about. I think his take gets really good towards the end. So if you've got the willpower to stick out the video towards the end, I start really turning around and enjoying it. Yeah, an interesting video and a cool guy. So be cool in the comments, yeah? And again, I apologize for losing my voice towards the end, and I apologize for the length, but again, we're here to break it down. So that's what we'll do. Enjoy. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we have a react to Avengers controversial Master Modes feedback video, Star Citizen, What We Are Losing. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things about this video, but I want to judge for myself. I think Avenger One's a pretty cool dude. I got a good relationship with him. I watch his streams when I'm eating breakfast and waking up in the morning.
Okay.
And if you have kids, I'd ask participation. Just meaning like I do a lot of master modes testing. Like I'm always in there. You guys will see me always in the free fly dueling with the rest of my org mates and sometimes strangers, and also heavily involved in squadron battles. So I definitely think I have a greater understanding than most in master modes. Just self.
Okay, he's qualifying himself. He's qualifying.
Involved. So I think I've got a pretty good and where we go with this, but let's just break it down and get into.
Hey, I'd like to
see what we think.
Welcome back, everyone, to another video. Today, I'd like to have a very serious discussion about the current state of Star Citizen's master modes, and quite frankly, give my opinion.
It's very
but also
low.
Show facts, evidence, and give testimony and results to what we actually have going on with master modes, and perhaps some solutions to the questions and problems that the new modes bring up. Star Citizen's at a critical point in its development and in its health. And I think strongly that we deserve to understand everything going on with master modes.
Yes. People that are passionate like myself about PvP, yes. A flight model should be so good that you feel connected to your ship, which I do not. I have not, since playing Star Citizen, ever truly felt like the flight model has been a good flight model. I've said that on numerous occasions. B, a flight model should be so good that whether you're a PvPer or a PvEer, that it doesn't matter. Because the flight model is the flight model, period. It's not like a flight model. It's not like a flight model can be great in PvP and terrible in PvE. It should be great in both respects because flight model, if you guys are following along with my line of thinking. Okay. Also, C, at the stage we are currently at, it is important that we talk about these things. Yes. Right? Because you're always trying to balance realism and fun. And what we're seeing with master modes, quite frankly, in simple speak, is this. They're dumbing it down. Okay, now a lot of people get upset. The people that are hardcore and very skillful with PvP are very upset because things are changing. They're accustomed to a way of flying. They're accustomed to their version of flying, right? When you're getting towards this level of progress and you're focusing on Squadron 42, what you're seeing in the development is they are dumbing it down. Period. My whole stance on this is don't dumb it down so much. I understand they have to dumb it down because of Squadron 42, but also don't think that's a fixed thing. Don't think that it's set in stone right now because development. Okay, they've always been transparent. They've always told us where they're going, and they have definitely made changes. And I am referring to Cloud Imperium when it comes to the development of a lot of the mechanics in the game, period. So if people are going to get super upset, just take a breath and realize this is fluid and things will change over time. The change has to happen first, and a large group of people have to be involved in these changes so that new feedback can come down the pipe, and that the feedback, whatever it is, for whatever reason, SIG will look at the different points of feedback and say, okay, here's our problems. These are the things we have to fix. So don't think that these changes are set in stone. So I haven't watched a lot of content in terms of master modes. Okay. So let's just keep going. Let's keep going.
And we need to have our input very clearly put out.
Seamus, right.
And that you,
What's up,
as the
Arcane?
general public and as a backer, deserve to understand what we are losing with the live model and what we are gaining with master modes, and what we have been told we're gaining with master modes and what we're actually getting.
I want to build a universe
I can't even
Oh,
hear
man.
this.
Always wanted to build.
This is an oldie.
Have the tools to do until now. One that you can fly off a carrier fighting heroic war on the front lines. But also,
Do you know what's weird is like you look back at old videos like this, and the game sometimes looks better.
with my friends.
Like, why are we not,
Real opponents in space.
you know, launching fighters out of capital ships?
In space, not just AI.
This video is over 10 years old. Like, give us this already.
We will be.
And I want this to be
Idris.
good or better than any other game out there. And I want to actively push the boundaries of what you can do in a game.
The reason I chose this clip is to remind everybody that
I couldn't even hear
PvP is going to be part of Star Citizen,
Here we go.
whether you like it or not, right?
It's true.
And that is not a bad thing. Player versus player encounters.
Listen, PvP should be a focus. It's an MMO. It's a sandbox, but it shouldn't be the only focus. And like I said before, I don't like if this is going to turn to a PvP, PvE argument. I think that's pointless because a good flight model should be good no matter PvP or PvE. I think this is a whole PvP EPing thing where, you know, like I understand as a PvPer, I don't want my PvP fucked up, period, right? But that doesn't mean that because of these changes, it's not going to suck or be as cool just because these changes are made in one regard or the other when PvP or PvE are concerned, right? It's just the flight model, period. The flight model.
in Star Citizen are some of the best, most engaging, adrenaline-pumping encounters you could possibly imagine.
Yep.
Better than any AI system, and surely better than any mission set that you could get. Playing against other players is the best of Star Citizen. But in order for player versus player and the gameplay itself to actually achieve that, we need to have a deeply engaging and
Flight
deeply
model.
skill-based gameplay
Yeah, I
that
agree.
actually facilitates that experience.
Balance. So in layman's term, we're talking about the balance between realism and fun, period. In game design, when it comes down to it, it's the balance of realism and fun. And like I said, we are in a dumbed down stage of the flight model. They want to slow it down, period. They want to slow it down for people that don't have those skills. And people like Avenger One and myself will probably be upset. I'm going to try and approach this from like a rational point of view, right? Because I realize in order for the game to be successful, you got to have player retention. And the big part of this game is flying. The big part of this game is the connection to your ship, exploring, getting out there, fighting, whether it be against PvE targets or PvP targets. You have a lot of people like myself and Avenger, and I'm sure this dude, Vergil, or my Shadow Moses, apologies, I haven't heard of this dude, but like that are very accustomed to PvP, right? And a lot of us feel like we're going to get a very watered down version of what we are accustomed to. Change isn't always going to be bad, but normally change is change and people are afraid of change, right? You got to kind of have to adapt here, and you're going to have to deal with it for the next few months. The flight model they're working right now, the one that they're trying to pin down, is for Squadron 42. Okay? That doesn't mean in the future that things aren't going to change as we go forward through with the PU. You understand? So I just want people to be rational about this.
What we have in the live model is not sufficient for the long-term health of Star Citizen.
Okay.
That I agree with.
There we go. Yeah, good.
However, there are things about the live model that it does better than master modes, including the fact that the
Sure.
skill ceiling is higher for the live version than master modes.
Yeah, but this is coming from, like, I mean, you guys know, right? Like, I'm pretty decent at the game, and the shape of that ceiling is really poor. Like, understanding or being really good in the live flight model is dialing in your settings to be able to aim at the gimmicky braking of the ship's performances and stuff like that. And what I mean is, like, to be good in the live flight model, you want to dial in your accuracy towards people that can wiggle really hard, people that are like constantly deflecting and backstrafing, like the Matador play style.
like
trying to
like AV.
get good at reading when people are trying to reset shields. It's
Yeah, that's like my friend AV over at Matadors. Hi, by the way, what's up, AV and Matadors? I haven't spoken to them in ages, but I like where he's going on this.
basically learning and mastering how to defeat people trying to cheese the flight model, and then it's also using and weaponizing that cheese. So it's like,
In regards to cheese, he's talking about the wiggling. He's talking about exploits, right? Because everybody employs exploits. Everybody looks for exploits in games. That's how they get an edge, right? So like eliminating exploits is another reason why we're going through a lot of these changes right now. You know what I'm saying? To try, so they have so many variables that they got to account for. And again, I'm talking about Cloud Imperium. One of these is the cheese.
yeah, is it harder in live? Absolutely. But it's also far more gimmicky. It's not a good ceiling. Like,
I agree
yes,
with that.
it can be mastered. Yes, you can constantly improve, but the shape of that is really poor. Like, it's not something you want to master, right? It's not something worth getting.
Boom. He's right. It's like I said at the very beginning. The flight model is not a flight model that I'm in love with. The flight model is not a flight model that I've been in love with. It just isn't. It's just not there. It's never been there.
Incredibly good at because it's really, exciting gameplay. Like a good example is it's really boring to watch PvP in the live flight model. If I go take, for example, my organization, and we can spring up a group of 20. Like, we usually can spring up a group of around 20 pretty easily, right, at any given moment. Say we spring up a group of 20 against another competitive top 5 organization of 20. That fight is going to be so boring. Is the skill going to be high for that? Yeah, sure. But it's like, it doesn't work. So my only point, right, is that competitive PvP, the skill ceilings, like, it's not good gameplay. It's really bad gameplay.
I agree.
It really is bad gameplay.
Because it's based off of a flawed
the
flight
PvP
model to start
so
with.
small. It's why it's a fraction.
This is why Master Modes is happening. This is why Master Modes is happening. They're trying to change it up so they add or insert the fun. And I guess my biggest fear is they don't dumb it down to the point where, there's no skill involved whatsoever. Right. Like, I don't want to go to one extreme to a completely other extreme, somewhere in the middle.
Fraction of the people playing Star Citizen, because competitively it's just not compelling.
We were told that Master Modes was the great balancer, that Master Modes would allow ships to fill themselves into roles. But what we ended up getting was a lot of ships being pigeonholed into specific categories and allowing skill to be the least amount of a calculation.
Yeah, it's true. Like, there's some ship archetypes that are far easier to master or become competitive in than others. Like, the ceiling's the highest in the light fighter, and it always will be, because that's where you can push the flight model to the most limits, right? It's got the most flexibility when it comes to speeds and agility. So that's where the skill ceilings.
That's why they're focusing archetypes, man. That's why we watched last week. They were focusing on that. They were talking about master modes. This is really contentious, man. This is a very hot button, man. I guess, again, I just want to reiterate. They have to go to this. They have to go to this to see. They understand the current model isn't working, right? They then have to make a change because of it, right? It's going to be messy. This is going to be messy, everyone. This is going to be very messy, but it's super important because we're going to this next phase. I think everybody's got a misconception that it's just set in stone. I think a lot of people think, well, we're moving to this, so it's going to be this and this only, right? So again, everybody just realize in time, the process, the game mechanics are very important. These game mechanics, super important. The most important, I think, in my opinion. That's because I'm a PvPer. But even so, I have to take a breath and step back and realize the change has to be made, and I have to seriously see this in a large-scale confrontation, and I have to witness it myself in order to give my opinions on this. And I'm talking large-scale, right? once I experience it, I can say, okay, this, and these are the issues, right? But we have to get to that phase. We have to see more people interact with this new model. We have to see a lot more people interact with this model, right? And it's going to be messy, and tempers are going to get very heated.
Always going to be the highest.
What's up,
forever.
Stunner?
But there is some other ships where, you know, the ceiling is so low that it's just so incredibly easy to play those classes. So he's right. I'd say that opinion is very accurate in the slower, heavier ships. And then in the light fighter, the ceiling's still decently high and hopefully going to become higher. But he's right. Like some ships are definitely lower ceilings than others. Agreed.
In the live model, I can take something like an Aurora with 2 bulldogs and sufficiently shoot down and kill ships that are in categories above mine, say Gladiuses or Hornets. In master modes, it doesn't really matter how good you are. The skill check is not there.
You could kill some mediums and heavies in an Aurora, I'm assuming. Like, I think you would be able to do that. A Gladius in the same archetype, probably not. Yeah. But like, I do think this is possible. I mean, you can out-rotate Vanguards and like Hornets pretty easily in small ships. So I don't know.
This is due to 2 reasons. 1, the flight component to our dogfighting game has been removed. Our speeds have been lowered so low that the flexibility and engageability of fighters has been removed so that only ships within certain classes and roles are able to engage ships in other classes. For example,
I'll tell you,
if our speeds are set...
I'll tell you one of the main reasons for that is Squadron 42. So again, I think a lot of the times the speed nerf and you know, I think it did need to slow it down a little bit personally. You know, some of the speeds were very realistic. Like very realistic to the point where people weren't going to be able to grasp it. And you're going to lose a lot of players that way. Because some people that aren't going to enjoy that, you know. But they may have gone a little too far, but they're probably doing it for Squadron 42. But don't think it's fixed. Don't think it's going to be fixed, I guess is the point that I'm trying to say. These are all things that can be experimented with.
To 200 meters per second compared to the live version.
Red. Yes. Seamus says it's a server thing as well. I believe that as well.
We have lost our ability to push-pull. We have lost our ability to lead turn. We've lost the ability to what's called hook around our opponents. And we've also lost our ability to manage multiple engagements at the same time.
Okay, so push-pull, I definitely think is achievable in the Interceptor class. You know, these light fighters, the heavy fighters and stuff, they're usually, you know, hovering around at 350 speed. You're going to get to the high 400s with the Buck, which is the Intercept class, which is really your hit and run live flight model style ship. So I think the push and pull gameplay is still achievable. It's just not achievable in every ship. And you have to elect into.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think this is the whole reason why they're doing this and why archetypes were talked about last week in Inside Star Citizen.
The archetype for that.
Yeah.
As far as lead turning, you can definitely lead turn in turn rate favorable ships like the light fighter. I find myself and the guys competitively lead turning more and more. I think lead turning's a way more prevalent in master modes because it's more turn based rather than these high speeds where the maneuver.
I think lead turn isn't an issue at all. I think push pull might be. I understand why they're doing for push pull because the archetypes and the way that they're setting up the new design for master modes. I understand that. But I agree with, is this dude's name Vergil? I'm so sorry that I don't know this name. Is this dude's name Vergil or is it Shadow Moses? I'm not quite sure what to call this dude, but I agree with him on the lead turn because when you're slowing down, the turns are the actually most important part. I don't think lead turn will be an issue.
Ring slows down
Thank
stuff
you,
like
Hugh.
that.
Thank you.
The hook maneuver.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like you need high speeds for that, but I don't think that's extremely consequential.
That makes sense.
And
I've heard of Shadow
engaging the
Moses or okay,
multi-gang. I think he means by that, and it's hard to fight numbers now for sure. It's a double-edged sword, right? Again, I've played with my organization where 3v20s were easy and you could do it without breaking a sweat. We don't want that.
Here's what it's going to give an advantage to: bigger ships, larger ships. They want larger ships to be able to peck you off easier. Like that, they want larger ships to be more OP, larger archetype ships, Hammerhead, etc. and above, right? They want these ships to be able to take you down easier. And I understand that.
And we do want the ability for, fights and groups to fight, against other groups with number advantages, but we don't want it excessive.
I see that as well, Matt. I know.
On a podcast I did with Buzz, it was, if one player can maybe beat two players with enough skill, 2.5 players, I think that's a good balancing point. But numbers are definitely the most lethal they've ever been. It's hard to punch above a group's weight. For example, you got a group of 10 and you're fighting a group of 15. It's going to be really hard for your group of 10. Really hard. So I can see that aspect, but not I would say that these points you made, they're not prevalent in every archetype, in every ship like they are in live. Now they're more of a choice. You have to pick what you want off this, I think.
So that ships in smaller or weaker categories are still able to compete against ships in higher categories based on your pilot's skill. In master modes, this has been removed for our benefit.
Pilot skip neutralization via ship choice. So are we referring to lights taking on like hammerheads and stuff like that? Because that's definitely doable now. It's just a different approach. You disable the weapons and stuff, but he's definitely right. And maybe a little bit wrong too at the same time. It's like you have to specialize into these.
Yeah, gameplay. If you're in a light and you're going up, say against a hammerhead, is going to make you focus more on turrets. Like as we saw specialized targeting last week on Inside Star Citizen, whereas you're going to want to neutralize larger ships' turrets or abilities to attack you, right? So they're going to make you fight more against the turrets and the defenses rather than the ship itself, because if you're going as slow as planned, you're not going to get the opportunity to just take on the ship like you used to. Right, so you're going to have to neutralize the defenses on larger ships, period. So the gameplay itself, in terms of game design, is actually more realistic in that respect. More realistic.
Things now. You have to. You don't just get it all in every ship. If you want to be able to do great lead turning and turn rates, then you need to be in a turn-based ship. If you want to do
and there's going to be plenty of holes and problems with this. I like what Finger said. The new meta is always discovered and popularized, right? And another word for meta is the exploits. Meta equals exploits, and exploits aren't necessarily all bad. Everything in life that gives you an advantage is an exploit. Anytime you have an advantage over somebody else, you found an exploit. No matter what area or field of expertise you're in your real life, dude, those are exploits, and you find those exploits and use them to your advantage, right? So there's always going to be that. I see these arguments that are like, oh, there's so many exploits. It's like I guess that's the PvPer in me,
Run, stretch out gameplay, string out separating groups.
Right.
Then you need to be in an interceptor doing jousts and flybys and strafe runs. If you want to take out the heavy ship, you need to be in a heavy ship killer, an Eclipse or something like that.
Right.
So there's definitely a bit of scissors, paper, rock gameplay with this.
Yeah, and you're going to have to be more of a tactician on how you approach a fleet, right? Because they want that type of gameplay. They want somebody to say, okay, we're going up against this, this, and this. These are the ships we're going to need, right? Currently, not like that. Not really like that currently. So I don't know if this is necessarily a bad thing. in terms of, tactical gameplay.
But yeah, I think that these are kind of specializations now, and not just given to every ship, which I think is a better thing to be completely honest.
I totally
like
agree with this, Vergil. I totally agree with what Vergil's saying right now.
Not just everybody in Gladiuses, because if every ship can do everything, then everybody finds the meta ship, and then we've got the F8 meta, the Hornet Ghost meta, But if different ships are good for different purposes, then there's a mixing of compositions and stuff like that.
Is something
which is
that
why we're
I
dealing with the
believe,
changes,
and a lot
right?
of the people in the PvP community believe as well, is wrong. I understand that the claim that Master Modes brings fights together is also wrong.
No, I like Avenger, I do, but this is wrong. Like, the fights are so clearly more together than they've ever been. Like, gosh, Squadron Battle in Live, for example, which is the only fish tank PvP, and the only reason people are even in the fish tank is because there's boundaries outside. Like, I don't agree with this at all. It is considerably more closer. It 100% is. Like,
I would have to agree again with Vergil.
Strongly disagree.
I would have to agree again with Vergil on this one. This is an interesting one. I'm glad Explodo. I'm glad Explodo linked this one too. I'm gonna have to agree with Vergil again. I'm also of the opinion that I like Avenger One. I know Sketch is very upset with Avenger One. I see in the chat Sketch is very upset with it. I like Avenger One as well. He's very theatrical. He can be dramatic. I think that's just his style. I think he's got that whole ace pilot thing going on there that I personally love that. Some people get triggered by Avenger One. But I'm going to have to agree with Vergil on this one.
Disagree with this. I think the fights are visceral. They're up close. You're assisting people. You're working with your teammates. You're having to pay attention to the radar. In the live flight model, you can get 40 kilometers of separation without even meaning to. This does not happen in master modes. It doesn't. If you do get 40 kilometers of separation, it was intentional.
Yeah.
I don't agree with this.
Yeah.
Master Modes, in fact, has fights happening at longer ranges most of the time.
I'd agree. The weapon ranges went up.
One, weapon velocity at such obscenely high levels allows for no reason to get any closer because the lead angle between your fall of shot and your target is so thin.
But the longer weapon ranges, it's important to know there's so much damage fall off that, like, if you want to be hitting someone at 100% damage output, you've got to be up close. Like, so when you're shooting at someone from a very far distance, usually you're tickling them. It's very small amounts of damage because only a small portion of what you're shooting down range is actually hitting them. But those weapon ranges are huge. And do I like those weapon ranges being that huge? No, I don't see the point. Like, why? It's nonsensical to me and I'm assuming they're doing this for precision mode, which I don't think is really a compelling mechanic at all, but he's right. The weapon ranges are too high. I like the velocities of the weapons. I think they're fine, but the range just feels like it's high for no reason.
That you can engage at 2,000 meters. Secondly, because of the lack of top speeds, you're not able to string out or elongate the fights as much as you used to be able to.
Listen, Sketch was...
Which, in some regards, may be
Sketch just had a bad experience, I guess, Coop.
Yep.
But the results in excessive jousting, which it just ends up having fights
Coop
continuously going back.
Listen. Sketch is saying some things against Avenger One here in chat, and I don't share his opinions, but Sketch had an experience, with Avenger One, and he's entitled to his opinions. But just chill out a little bit, though, Sketch, because you're here with good people, and we're just having fun tonight, dude. So don't worry. Be like Coob and I, and just chill out a little bit, Get in that Coob mode. I'm gonna just get in Coob mode. I know what you're talking about, Sketch. I know, dude. Just listen. Remember, just smile, Sketch. Just smile. We've done so much work together on the couch of life. We've had our psychological experiences. You sat down and talked about your problems to everybody here, and I feel like you're putting in good work to become a positive, healthy dude. You know what I'm saying, Sketch? So just blow it off, man. Just You know, just take a breath, man. It's okay. We love you, dude. We love you.
Back and forth like a seesaw motion because we don't have enough top speed to actually disengage the fight. So
Yeah, I don't see how disengaging and jousting go hand in hand, though.
Okay, Sketch. All right, dude.
And
All
like
right,
jousting's always going to be a thing. Like in the live flight model, I'd argue
Jousting
it's
will
worse,
always be a thing.
because it's so easy to accidentally hit those speeds. You're not getting slowed down artificially by the boosted and unboosted bubbles, right? But yeah, I don't see how jousting and disengaging go hand in hand. I definitely agree that, you know, string out gameplay, pulling groups apart and separating them is much more difficult. It definitely is. I think that is
Seamus,
the main culprit's the weapon ranges, because, you know, two fighters that are 3K apart from each other can assist each other.
How you doing, Walker?
And target a similar, the exact same target.
He's like, oh no.
In live,
Walker's walking. He's like, oh no, we're talking about master modes. Like that was Walker's first comment. Walks right in the door. He sees we're talking about master modes. He's like, oh no. I love Walker's reaction just coming into the door, man.
Those two players would need to be shoulder to shoulder to do so, because
you're farming.
Like an effective weapon
Good,
range is like 500 in live, and then
God, it's St. Eric. Woo! Woo! Eric, I love you, dude. I'm shipping that shirt out to you tomorrow, buddy.
Next time it's gonna be black.
Ah, that's God bless him. Eric, Saint, Eric, Saint, Eric, Saint, Eric. Woo! Feeling you, bro. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, man. Feed my entire family for a fucking week. Thank you, dude.
Shoot at someone at any distance above that, you need to be like, you know, perfectly aligned, and they need to be essentially going in a straight line. So I blame the weapon ranges for that. But I don't think we have like a jousting problem at all. You know, I think the only jousting problem exists really when it comes to the Buccaneer and the Archimedes, so the Snub Fighter and the Interceptor classes, because they're literally jousting ships. They have slow turn rate, they have high forward acceleration. They're strafe run ships. These are strafe run, purpose-built ships. So
yeah.
Of course, there's going to be jousting up there.
Thank you,
So the
Coob.
claim that Master Modes brings fights closer to
Coob. Oh, Hugh. That was Hugh. Hugh, your sound effect will be tomorrow. Hugh's just gifting people tier 3 subs to everybody. Hugh, God bless you, dude. God bless you. Hugh's on a tier 3 gifting spree, man. I'm getting that sound effect button for you tomorrow. I'm almost there. I'm almost there, dude. It's got to be perfect.
together is just simply not true. The experience that most of the player versus player clients that I play with on a daily basis, including others from other communities, are finding the same result, that longer distances with saturation zones and excessive jousting are the result of low turn rates and low speeds. We don't have
Yeah. I like Wookstree's comment here in chat. What's up, Wooksy? Good to see you, buddy. I wanted to watch something from Clip of the Day, and Wookstree does the editing for him, but we're got so much to go over tonight. I don't think I'll be able to get over there. But Wooksy says, okay, DG, let's be honest. The PvP light fighter meta has gone on a very long time. Absolutely 110%, bro. And you know, frankly, I'm quite sick of it myself. This is the first real change that directly affects them. Absolutely. Yes. They spent all those hours getting good. This needs to cook, and everyone calm down. That's exactly what I'm trying to get across to people. You know what I'm saying, Wooksy? You couldn't be more right, bro. You couldn't be more right. I think this was the impetus of the reason why things felt why Cloud Imperium is like, all right, we really got to get this. But also Squadron 42. The speed nerf, everything slowing down. It's a whole balance of like putting fun in and putting the right amount in over the realism, and that is a huge fight to everyone involved. And so like this is just a change. It's going to take time. Nothing's set in stone. Again, I'm reiterating. Because of development and because of where we're at, I don't think that changes are ever set in stone with this game, first off. Let me just say that. In regards to all game mechanics, I don't think that any of the game mechanics we currently have are going to be the same years from now. I think this is always going to be something that's going to be worked on. I like the fact, I think so many people are accustomed to developers making changes and then never making changes again. And I'm talking about AAA gaming primarily. So when those changes happen, people just expect that that's what's going to happen with Star Citizen. That is not what's going to happen with Star Citizen at all. And we can go back in time and we can see changes that have been changed and have been upgraded. And some changes have gone and been downgrades, and we've all been upset, and then they have changed it. We've always seen this with COD Imperium in terms of the game development, right? This isn't like your typical game dev that makes the change and just lets it sit forever. No, this is a very interactive team that will continue to be fluid and will continue to listen to its fan base, and that's why they're so successful. That's why not only the ship sales, but the fact that they create this platform in which we can, through Spectrum, through YouTube, through all the content creators are out there, our voices, I feel, are heard for the most part. There are certain times where I feel like they're not, and then I get grumpy and I start pounding the table. I get grumpy and salty. And, you know, I have my moments of that. But, like, the big picture is this. The big picture is I realize I'm rational, right? I realize we're still in this phase, right? And even when it is finished, right, they will listen and continue to make those changes that need to be changed, because they know it's vital, because they know it's important to be successful. And they're going to communicate it to you. And I can't say there's a lot of other developers out there that do this. There's not many. I can count them on one hand. So I'm not gonna watch the rest of this. I get where we're going here, but I personally think, as passionate as I am about PvP, as passionate as these two are about PvP, in terms of the game development, I understand that this is not in stone. And I think that's the most important thing out of this. These changes are not set in stone, whether you like them or whether you don't. But these changes have to be made in order to progress, period. And if this ends up being 2 steps back, don't get depressed, because they're listening. And they'll continue to tweak it. A good flight model accommodates PvP and PvE because flight model. At the end of the day, the denominator is the flight model, period. And the 2 things that you have to worry about the most is your realism and your fun. And it's a balancing act. You got to balance it correctly. And where we're going is not where we've been. Some people might think this is a couple step backwards right now. And I understand that. I get where you're coming from. You don't want skills to be downplayed. You're super passionate. You're PvPer like myself. I get it. I understand. But they have to make these changes. Like Wooksy said, the light fire meta is ridiculous. It's been ridiculous for a long time. Everybody in PvP knows it's been, and changes like this will not only help tactical gameplay, but it should help the overall fun and player retention, which at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're retaining as many people as you can and still having that gameplay that you love, right? And as a PvPer, I want to make sure there's some skill involved still. I don't want this to be an arcade shooter. I don't think anybody else out there does either. I don't even think PvEers want it to be an arcade shooter. They want levels of realism as well. I know plenty of people that only PvE, they want some realism too, you know? So I'm just going to let it be. I'm going to let it be. And I'm just going to let them do their jobs. And I want everybody to calm down, okay? Everybody, just calm down. Why am I the rational? When did I become the rational one? How did this happen?
Playing NFL, dude.
There's a problem with the world today. There's a problem with the world when DG is the rational content provider. There is a serious problem here, Pepe. There is a serious problem.